We're live.
We're live. So what do you think the internet sees right now? Is it big picture of you, small picture of me, or small picture of me, big picture of you?
It's the big picture.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think so. Or we could be lined up together. No, I think it's whoever's speaking gets the... Yeah.
Well, that's a cool mechanic.
What's up?
I like that. So there's no post required then.
Right.
I said that's wonderful. That means there's no post editing required. Is my audio okay?
It's good.
You can hear me? You don't need me to put on a mic or something?
Well, no, it's built in your... It's built into your computer. Yep.
So how's California? Cool. I guess maybe we should queue up and say this is episode 3. This is episode 3, right?
Okay, so what are we going to talk about?
Well, you've had your first week of launch under your belt on your new product. We could touch on that. I'd love to touch on that. How has the soft launch gone?
This is weird.
What's weird?
Oh, I was using headphones to try and isolate the audio from this, and then it just played back everything that we just said.
Oh, don't do that then.
Yeah, I did not like that.
Please don't do. If you don't like it, don't do it.
It's still playing back. It's like a ghost microphone. Yeah, turning this off.
Is this better?
So what's up, man?
Let me ask you, does this help my audio at all? Hello. Hello. What's weird? Hello.
Oh, I was using headphones to try and isolate the audio. Oh, I get it.
I don't think it does.
Dude, I'm not very technical here. So what was happening was I was actually playing the Google Hangout while actually recording the Google Hangout. I know that doesn't make sense, but whatever. So what have you done this week? Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I couldn't hear a word you just said.
That sucks.
I assume the audience did that, though, so, you know.
No, I don't know what I'm doing here, really. Okay.
Well, what's interesting is that I see both of our lights lighting up as if it's recording both of us, but I don't hear you or myself, so I'm not really sure what's going on. But apparently Google's getting all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's cool. Yeah, what have you accomplished this week?
Yesterday was my busiest day. One of the clients that I had given advice to a while back, remember how I told you I do that weird thing where I'll be like, here's a piece of advice. If it makes you money, come back and hire me.
Yeah.
And I did that with a dog walking business about 6 months ago. And the guy very aggressively called me and was like, I'm now ready to hire you. I have several $1,000s set aside as a budget to do some things, and I want to see what you can do if given some actual, focus on what you told me to do.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to try some customer loyalty things. We're going to try expanding some of his product offerings and introducing some of the treats and stuff that he buys that are really high-end organic treats being just delivered with the dogs when they're dropped off.
Uh-huh.
And adding some upsells and cross-sells to his business. But it's nice, it's nice when a client comes in that way because that means they've tried something that I told them to do for free, I give a lot of free advice, most people don't follow it.
Right.
When someone follows the free advice and they come back and really want to hire you, it means they're going to give you the trust that you really want out of that client. In most cases.
Do you, is there a really enough profit margin for that?
Oh, it's stupid. This guy went from 3 years ago, he lost his job, to now he employs 6 people. As the world turns, my friend.
Yeah.
As the world turns.
I can't believe that. That's crazy.
I don't know why you would think it's like crazy to believe. I mean, the reality is that there's always going to be service-based businesses at their simplest, and largest core, and people who can't take the time to have a child but have the money and want some form of companionship gravitate towards animals.
Yeah,
And
but
just like yuppie behavior, they don't want to raise the animal themselves.
that doesn't scale very well, though. How many dogs can one person walk?
Depending on if they're pack walking or they're individual walking, they're yielding anywhere from $60 to $200 per hour gross right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 6 people in the field at any given time.
Okay, so it's an actual business. It's not just him walking dogs.
It started off as just him walking dogs, and then as the clientele grew, he started to organize it a little bit into a business. And it wasn't until a few months ago that he was confronted with, well, I now have too many clients for myself, what do I do? And that's when I gave him some free advice on how to organize for scale. And he took it, and it worked well. And so now he's back wanting to do more.
Good.
It's one of those things, organization can be more powerful than marketing in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So is he paying you now? Is he a customer?
He is effectively a paying customer. He just he dropped off his deposit check this week to have his website converted into WordPress and Divi. So just keep the same website, just convert it into something that we can work with easier,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can add some little things and changes. And I don't like Magento. I don't like dealing with a bunch of other crap. I'd just rather have my guys in Pakistan convert the thing over to a system I understand, and then I know he can deal with. Because if you tell me I haven't touched my website in 3 years because I don't know how to use it, we should convert it to a system you can use.
If only I knew someone who built a website system that was really easy to use.
I know someone who has done this, but what is the charge to convert a site over to your system?
I don't know. I mean, it only takes a couple minutes, but it's really funny that you should ask that. By the way, I have chocolate banana all over everything right now.
As you should. You're in California. I assume you went to the Bluth Banana Stand?
Yeah, I went to the Blue Banana. Yeah, of course.
I need a Bluth Banana right now. Can I get what is it, Job? It's a double with everything?
Yeah, can I get a Job? So last night or yesterday afternoon, I had a meeting with the guys of Fastline Media, the people who built the drag and drop plugin that I'm using to power my.
They built the builder.
Yeah, they're the builders. And well, that meeting went from about 4 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. at the bar.
Wow. So it's safe to say you like these people.
It was pretty good. Yeah, it's also safe to say they like me. I just got a friend request just popped up from one of the guys.
Nice.
Just as we were talking, and yeah, they're humans. Like they're very human people. So
they're out there, I've heard.
Yeah, I mean they work.
But I've heard they exist.
Really funny thing is they work in Silicon Valley, but I mean, I think the only reason they work in Silicon Valley is because they grew up in Silicon Valley. They don't really embody anything that you and I might think of when we think of those words. They're sensitive souls, if you will, and they're also very, very good at their job. So yeah, I would love to work with them. And
do they have an Erlock Bachman currently?
Do they have an Erlock Bachman? No, but they have a guy who looks just like me.
That had to be weird. Did you do the whole image thing and like wave at each other awkwardly and kind of move from side to side?
Yeah, it's pretty funny stuff, man. Yeah, so actually one of the guys, there's 3 employees, and when we went to this bar where I think on Wednesday nights or something, and and they this guy's brother sees me, and he thought I was the other guy. It wasn't his
His
brother, but
brother.
it was one. No, it wasn't his brother, but it was, I'm sure these people have known each other for a couple years now, and he thought I was this guy named Robbie.
Nice. And you were
But
like,
anyway,
no, no, I killed Robbie, and I've taken his place.
yeah. Uh, but
And you're next.
yeah, I don't know. It seems like it could be a very excellent relationship.
That's great.
Uh, as far as partnership goes, I've been brainstorming like what exactly like the legal entity of that might look like, and the best idea I can come up with is that they, because I already, I kind of built the basically the way we talked about it. It's like, well, it's definitely it's like a ghetto version of what they wanted to build, and so the idea that I'm thinking is that we start a new company, and that we're, like that's because they're doing agency work too. So we start a new company that's just the product and like some of the ideas that we talked about yesterday, additional offers, etc. And then there would be 4 partners on that.
Word.
So I assume that's the way it would go. There's yeah, and the stuff that I'm doing independently would kind of stop.
Well, I've always
So
been a fan of a testing ground and doing a memorandum of understanding and then a letter of intent and setting up a war chest as kind of a joint venture
uh-huh.
before jumping into a full-blown marriage. And just saying, hey, the new product is now owned by the joint venture, and here's the
Hmm.
war chest account the joint venture is going to dump its money into as it sells.
Uh-huh.
And in a year's time, if we're all happy, we'll head down to the courthouse and we'll get married as an official business.
How do you decide how much money has to go into the account?
Well, I mean, that's the great part about a product like this because, right now you guys don't really, it's an existing thing. So
Hmm.
there's the cut you'd each want to individually take of these 4 partners, and then whatever is
Hmm.
left over you'd want to leave in the war chest to retain and roll. And that would go into things like furthering development costs and, basically what your projected costs are, plus
Yeah.
some margin for growth is what you want to leave in the war chest. Whatever you take out, you know, that's pocket money.
Yeah,
Whatever
but
you
how do you decide who owes what to the war chest? Like, how do I determine what I owe?
the war chest is a function of the money retained from the product being sold.
Uh-huh.
Um, at the time of a letter of intent, you
Hmm.
can occasionally say, hey, we're going to put together a war chest of X number of dollars, and here's who's contributing that. But remember, the letter of intent is solely designed to say, here's who's putting up what, be it money, sweat equity, knowledge, here's who's going to handle what areas. It's really just kind of a roadmap of an ideal relationship is going to exist like this. We
Uh-huh.
know the world's not an ideal place, as you and I have said, screws fall out. So we're hoping that it goes this way, and here's what everybody is expected to do.
Yeah.
And if it plays out like this, then we'll continue a step further and get more cemented in as a new entity instead of being a joint venture.
Yeah. I don't know how I decide like what the exact obligations are. I mean, I can kind of understand what the effort obligations are because you can just be like everybody owes 20 hours a month or something like that.
Well, that's why the
Um,
first thing you do is you put together the memorandum of understanding, which is just kind of like, here's the total sum of responsibilities that would exist for this project to happen.
uh-huh.
And we all agree that, that's why it's called a memorandum of understanding, because everybody has to now review, acknowledge, and sign off that they understand that without all of these things,
Uh-huh.
this would happen. And then the letter of intent is really, here is our intent of how we're going to take all of that stuff we just found and break it into who's responsible for what.
I'm just trying to understand like how do you determine what's fair in a situation like this? That seems pretty tough.
Um, I mean, really, it's when you start looking at who's going to handle what and where responsibilities lie and like what exactly everybody's doing, it starts to solve itself.
No, I mean more looking at like work that's already done. Like so they've invested probably 7 months into this product, um, innumerable hours. Like how do they get compensated for that? besides with the money that they're already generating. But I guess it doesn't matter. I guess, you know what, like,
Not your problem. That's really not your problem.
right? Because whatever they've made is whatever they've made. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, I cannot tell you. Every time, Jason, somebody comes to me to do something, and they're like, "I have this great company and this new product," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do a JV." You know what they're currently making and wherever this product came from. That's not my problem. It's
right,
not
and it's really irrelevant, right? Because something that's not making money is not worth anything. That's just, I mean, that's the economics of the situation.
I mean, do you remember when I bought the dildo site? I paid how much for it? Nothing, because it was making nothing. The company had negative $25 in the bank, and they tried to tell me that they wanted to develop. They were like, "Well, we think it's worth like 10 grand." I'm like, "Oh, you think it's worth something?"
Yeah.
It's made nothing. It's cost $10,000 to make.
Yeah.
And it's worth, apparently it has a
negative $10,000.
$25.
Right.
And it needs work to actually make money still. So it's worthless.
Well,
and
so these guys do
worth less than zero.
These guys do turn a profit on their, or I guess they don't turn a profit. They have revenue, right?
Sure.
So
and that's
I
their
think
revenue. And that's the monetization of their old business. And that can exist in its own space and be separate from the new JV. What you're coming to them to say is, hey, look, taking what you were monetizing and taking what I was monetizing and forming that into a new JV product looks like this and has revenue potential of this. Let's give this a whack for a year, and we're going to split the money equally in a fair way.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this portion of the heavy lifting. You're going to continue to do this portion of the heavy lifting. Here's how much money is going to stay in the war chest. Here's what we're each going to take out of each sale. So instead of taking salaries and figuring that out this first year, we're just going to take a piece of each sale.
Would it be simpler just to subtract whatever their revenue average has been for the last 3 months? Would it just be easy to subtract that from the monthly gross and be like, boom, that's yours. Like, that's what you would have made without this new JV.
That's that's a very fair and simple way of doing it, in my opinion. And they say that since that's now segmented, what comes out of the war chest for development cost is separate.
Right. Like, yeah, that's cool. And this can be like day zero, right? Like, this is day zero of a new.
This is day zero. And we're gonna go and we're gonna make we're gonna register a joint venture between Item 9 and their company. And that joint venture will have its own name.
How do you register a joint venture? Is that just a contract?
Just go down. It's a contract. And you go down to the courthouse in the state you plan to register the joint venture. So, depending on where you guys are in California, I don't know how much it is down there. It'll be under $1,000, I guarantee you. It'll probably be a few hundred. So you'll split it.
What if they already have a corporation? Is there any discount for that?
No, a JV is formed between two existing entities. So you have to each have an existing entity to
incorporate. Well, I'm not incorporated. No, but I'm a sole proprietor, so could there be a JV between a sole proprietor and...
I don't know.
Well, what if they just hire me?
I want to say yes. But worst case scenario, you could always have them file if they're an existing corporation, they can file a DBA subcorp and have you own part of that DBA subcorp.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But see, to me, that would be marriage. What you guys are looking for right now is just to set up some entity that allows you the flexibility to have a war chest and an operating account to spend a year dating. I know I talk about this a lot, Jason, but after everything you and I have been through with partners, I think it's very important to have a dating phase where you're not legally all super bound together, but you're still bound by some rules of governance to get a feel for how each other functions.
Yeah. Can you do this kind of thing without involving a court? Can you just do a contract?
You used to be able to do all kinds of crazy shit, and then they started tightening up on banking regulations for how you move money around. Don't know why. It's not real money anyway. But now you have to legally register. It's all about the name. So, I mean, I guess the easiest thing you could do is you could have...
So you can rename the joint venture or something.
Or you could simply have them register a DBA and use a letter of intent and that DBA name for the new account,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
operate under that. Use the basically operating under the letter of intent as an interim operating agreement.
I think that's a good idea. I I don't think that I mean I'm all in. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the question is, would they be all in? And I can say yeah. I mean, after yesterday, I can say yeah. Um,
Well, then that would be my advice. If you don't have an LLC of your own,
uh-huh.
and they do have some type of corporate structure, I'm assuming they're probably like a C.
I have no idea. We'll find that out. And when they do that subcorp, you can do shares, right?
Yeah, but they don't have to do that yet. What you do is you just operate under a general letter of intent.
Okay.
And then what happens is in a year you say, or in the operating agreement that spawns from the letter of intent,
Uh-huh.
you just specify that the DBA will become its own entity after such and such a time period, so
Uh-huh.
that the parties have a chance to get a feel for each other. And then when it's time to get married, you just go file it as its own thing. You can always turn a DBA into its own company.
How do I ensure that I get equity in this?
The letter of intent.
Okay.
Letter of intents are precursors to an operating agreement. An operating agreement can govern pretty much everything inside of a company.
Okay, cool. Cool. So, all right, well, you get the idea. Everybody gets the idea here that I had this meeting, and I never go to meetings.
No, we're not really meeting people.
No, I actually, so I'm in Oakland. I'll tell you about that in a second. I'm in Oakland, and I even drove 45 minutes to go to this meeting in Campbell, which is in the southern part of Silicon Valley. So that means that I actually wanted to do this. Like, and I'm like 2,000 miles away from Chicago, 3,000 miles away from where I started in Mexico. Like, I definitely wanted this. I wanted to meet these guys, and they were. I mean, the fact I think they kind of started out skeptical. Like there's three guys, and they each had like their own gradient of skepticism regarding me, and then like they just like one by one the dominoes fell. Not really, I mean through my work, yeah, but also through like having this guy inside of the company that seemed like an what do you call it, an evangelical for me. Is that like
Yeah.
yeah, like this guy that was rooting for me, and he's the lead developer on the project. He told me that so I had a Skype call with him a couple of weeks ago to try and give him some strategy, and he had it on speaker for everybody in the office, and they were like, I didn't know he had it on speaker, but he told me that last night at the bar, and not that I care or anything, but it's like I can imagine these guys sitting there listening, and the fact that they were impressed with the stuff that I was talking about. Like that's really good feedback, and that means that I'm actually good at what I do, which is always nice to hear from other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, and of course they don't know me from anybody, besides my my writing that I've done for them, and the interactions that we've had. They don't know me, but they met me, and they took a liking to me, which is fantastic. So
Something.
no, it's huge.
I think you're a likable guy, though.
yeah, but like I'm likable, but who in a fucking company likes me? That's the question.
Jason,
Like I stand. What's that?
people keep giving me money and hiring me. And I usually tell them, I think you're going to fail. And they're like, well, here is a check. And I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, okay, that's fine for like a sole proprietor or something like that, but like I was actually in an office yesterday. Like I don't go to offices, and it was really neat to meet people who they work 9 to 5, but they didn't hate me. Like usually people that work 9 to 5 absolutely loathe me because I represent everything that that they want, but they won't do. But these guys, like, I don't know, it was good. It was like a really good chemistry, very good chemistry. And I think there's a lot both of us could learn. By the way, these guys are the most talented individuals I've ever met. Like, as far as building um, website stuff and designing website stuff, I've never met more talented people. They're fantastic. So yeah, I'm glad that happened. Speaking of being in Oakland, I left Chicago on Saturday, and I came to Oakland to visit friends and to do this meeting yesterday, and I went camping in Big Sur uh, on Monday, and that, besides the fact that I was camping, like, it's just, this whole trip has been a crazy amount of bureaucratic navigation that I've gone through. I I so I was on the train to the airport, and I get this email. It's like a deal email. It's for a camper van rental, which it said it was in San Francisco. It ends up being in Oakland, where I'm staying. Camper van for a week. I paid $500 for it, and took that to Big Sur. It's got two beds in it. It's got a bed. It's just a minivan, but it's just like, it's totally hooked up. It's got a
Conversion
fold
van.
down. Yeah, it's not a conversion van. It's a minivan. It's got a bed that folds down from the seats underneath, but it also has like a storage rack up top, which also has a bed in it. It's crazy. It's like a pod that operates on a motor, and that's super awesome. And
So
then it
it's like an
also
old
has,
VW Magic Bus, but it's like separated and hooked on.
oh, dude, it's sick. And then there, in the back of the van, is a full kitchen. Like, there's a sink, there's two stoves,
Why did you
there's
not
a refrigerator. What's that?
Why have you not posted pictures of this?
I thought I did. I haven't taken. I don't know if I took any pictures. Maybe I did. Yeah, I'll get some of those up there. But it's pretty insane. Like, and the other thing is, so I went camping. Camping was wild in itself. I was overlooking the Pacific Ocean, like in the middle of nowhere. Um, we stayed at this like off-road turnoff that I found in a book that I bought, and that was kind of tricky. But then the next day we actually got a camping spot, which was right on the ocean, and there's no reason why we should have got this camping spot, because just a month ago the state of California started using a reservation system for all their campgrounds. So there's nothing available. But my buddy that I was camping with, he just read the signs and he read the rules, and sure enough, there was like this little camp space that we found out of, I think there might have been 23. We got one of them. So it was pretty awesome, and we came back Wednesday, and I mean, even getting the van, like, that was super tricky. I bought this coupon, but that wasn't a reservation. Like, I still had to make the reservation, and then when I called to make the reservation, they were like, "Oh, we don't have any," and they were like, "Well, hold on." And then they were like, "Okay, well, you can pick it up Monday." And I was like, "Thank God," because that's exactly, like, if we didn't pick this van up Monday, basically the camp trip was completely fucked. So I picked the van up Monday, and they were like, "Okay, but you have to have it back on Friday." And then we go to the middle of nowhere for 3 days. I finally get back to cell phone reception, and then I finally speak to, like, the big boss in Los Angeles for this camp van company yesterday, and she's like, no problem, you can keep it out the full 7 days. And the reason that's awesome is because I'm sleeping in this van right now. Like, now I'm back in the city, but I'm sleeping in this van because why not, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a camper van, and it's got privacy curtains and a bed, and what else do I need? It's awesome.
It's pretty fucking cool, actually. I found found it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's just like
It's a party wagon.
it's amazing, and it says juicy all over it, which
Yeah. It's not very
know.
incognito, but oh my god, everybody just keeps asking me about this. I've showed it off like 20 times. Like, it's
Oh, and you're
very,
fucking in Joker colors too. You're bright green and purple, like as if.
yeah. It's totally conspicuous. I've seen a couple go down the highway, and like, we're just honking at each other because you can see this car from a mile away. So that's the story. Oh, and also, so I would be Airbnb places in San Francisco and Oakland here, but you know, being that this is the place that Airbnb started at, it's like impossible to get a place here. Not only are they all rented out, but no one gets back to you. I've booked 4 different places here, and no one confirmed my booking. Like I paid for these apartments, and all someone had to do was accept my reservation, and they would have received the money. And 4 people did not accept my reservation.
That's
So yeah, it sucks. Normally, like, no problem, Airbnb, no problem. But because this is like people have been Airbnb here for years, like they're probably just tired of it. Like they don't give a shit about it anymore. So they don't even worry about being good hosts. But what I did do was I Airbnb this office space that I'm in right now. I'm in 1 million square feet of office space in this 24-acre warehouse and mall complex in San Leandro, California, which is about 20 minutes from Oakland. And it's so fucking big that oh, by the way, I bought a new bike. This place is so big that I ride my bike around in it. Like that's how I got in. I got in on my bike, and when I have to go to the bathroom, I ride my bike to the bathroom.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Ride around in
Um,
circles like Peter Gregory.
Dude, this is insane. Like, I am in an office right now. I'm in a 4,000 square foot office myself, with like studios and all kinds of interesting things. Like I have in the room I'm in is 2,000 square feet, and the room next door has a 10-foot door, so that's basically the same room. And there's nobody here either. Like I worked here from 10 p.m. last night until 2 a.m. Pacific time, and then I woke up at 6:30 and started working again Pacific time. Oh, and took a shower and like got cleaned up because it's like it's an old warehouse, so there's all these there's showers and stuff like that here.
Well, that's fantastic.
So that's my life.
And you're just living it. And you are living it, and you're in it, and you're a part of it, and it feels good.
Yeah, I mean it's unique. I must say.
Like I said, man, that's my I think the thing that makes people in an office so angry about you is that you make them question their existence because they all have this fictitious savings number to live the way you live, and you're like, what do you mean? I
No.
less than your salary, and I live this way because you're dumb and I'm smart.
You know how much this office cost? $25. $25 for 24 hours. And good thing I got my camper van, because then I got my house right outside.
Absolutely, you're living the life, and they're
Oh, it's
sitting
crazy.
there like, why is my life so sad? And you're like, I don't know. I don't. You make these decisions. I make my decisions. Some of us regret our decisions. Some of us do not.
Well, here's the deal, though. They don't make decisions. Like I know what I feel like over the last week of making thousands of decisions, thousands, like micro decisions and major decisions. All I do all day long is make decisions. Some of them are pretty hard, but I make them. I make decisions. Like sleeping in a van is a huge decision. Like how it's a lot easier to just sleep in your house if you have a house. Like this is a decision. Just I don't know, man. Everything I do it's complicated, and there's a lot of there's a lot of weighing that goes on in my head. But ultimately, like I have to make this decision quickly, or else these opportunities pass me by. I mean, that's what happens with those Airbnb places. Like if you don't snap them up, someone else does. If if you hesitate on the campgrounds, you don't get no campgrounds. It's just all these things. Like today, I bought a plane ticket from Alaska Airlines, and to buy plane tickets, like there's thousands of choices you can make, and even for me, like I don't exactly know where I'm going. I booked a flight, and I was just like, well, what would happen if I was looking for flights to Portland, and I couldn't find anything that left Monday that I could use frequent flyer miles for. And so what I ended up doing was I booked multi a multi-city flight from Oakland to Seattle, and then from Seattle to Newark, because I'm going to New York City in a couple weeks.
Okay.
And I have this flight. I fly from Oakland, which is super convenient on the day I want to fly. I get into Portland, or I'm sorry, I get into Seattle 2 hours later. I'm gonna stay with a friend in Seattle. Then I'm gonna take. I haven't booked this yet, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a train to Vancouver, in Canada, and then I'm gonna fly from Vancouver to Portland, and then I'm gonna take another train from Portland to Seattle, and then I'm gonna take the final leg of the original flight from Seattle to Newark International. I'm probably, I don't know what the total will be. I'll guess in a second, but I'm I'm spending 12,000 frequent flyer miles for that flight.
That's awesome.
12,000 frequent flyer miles and $11 in taxes, which is crazy. Like, it should not be that low, and I don't know why it was that low, but I didn't hesitate. Like, I made a decision, right? Like, it might not be a perfect decision, but you know what? Like, fuck it. And I'm really good. I'm
Perfect.
really good asking for things I need. So if it doesn't work out, I can be on the phone and I can make it be the thing I need.
Speaking of not asking for the things that you need, so you know Steve, the one that's always over here all the time?
Yeah.
He asked me for a t-shirt, and I was like, well, the press isn't up and running, and he's like, why not? I'm like, well, I need to solder a board on, and he's like, and you didn't ask me? I'm like, I didn't realize you could fix stuff like that. He goes, dude, I have an entire business that just does that. I have like 7
Uh-huh.
people that do that, and I've been doing that in cars and building car systems for, I don't know, 15 years.
Yeah.
So he flips it over. He goes, okay, send him an email requesting the schematic for this, and he reads off the board name.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, what exactly it is? And he goes, and it's it's the cables that are connecting from this board to this. I need that, and I just need what terminals they go to. So I
Yeah.
sent them in this morning, and they said they could have that information to me by this afternoon, and he said he could be here Saturday with a soldering torch.
That's
he was-
good. How long have you gone without it?
4 months. It was like
Yeah.
4 months. It has taken. He goes, I've been here maybe twice a week for the last 4 months, and you haven't mentioned this to me once.
That's weird.
Yeah, I never asked him. I asked a bunch of other people instead of asking a buddy that I know works in electronics. Dumb.
Well, yeah, that's on you.
Very dumb.
I didn't know he worked in electronics. That is information.
It is information indeed. There's a lot of it about. That's the one thing I've learned about the world is if you're open to it, there is quite a bit of information floating around.
Well, that's the thing that allows me to make all these decisions that I make. Like, I gather up as much information as quickly as possible. That way, even though I'm making kind of a rapid fire decision, I've got like an 80% chance of making the correct decision.
Solid. I respect that.
Yeah, and I think that's what like famous and well compensated decision makers do. Like, in fact, I think that is exactly what people who are well compensated get paid for. Like, that is the one thing, is making really quick, really accurate decisions.
Absolutely. But those come from both experience and it comes from a certain amount of confidence and a certain amount of experience.
Well,
Well,
also a certain amount of due diligence. Like,
Absolutely.
you shouldn't be making any decisions without not all the information, but let's just say, like, as much information as you can wrangle in 20 minutes, right? Like, maybe after 20 minutes, the law of diminishing returns comes into effect. But, like, you should definitely do a little bit of information wrangling. So you sent me a photo.
I just wanted to see. I finally got everything fully wired up, so this is much easier for me now to do these with you.
Okay. And yet you still have no light.
There's a lot of light,
You got to shine it on your head, just so you know.
so I should top down, is what you're saying?
I don't remember if you shine it from the top down. Maybe you shine it from both top and bottom, but you definitely put it right on your face. Like, the best lighting, you probably can't even see. You personally can't even see the thing you're looking at. The shit is bright, is what I'm saying.
The shit, it's bright.
Yeah, and it's shining right in your eyeballs.
Serious. It's super serious.
Yeah, so guess what I'm doing today?
What are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing a lot of shit, but I'm working on that retainer today. That's the reason I got this office. I was working at Starbucks yesterday, and oh my god, all I kept doing was looking at women walking in. I was like, this is impossible. Like,
Oh,
I'm not getting any work done.
so hard.
And so, yeah, now I'm in this 4,000 square foot office, and there's nobody here, and I'm actually not getting much work done either. But at least the potential for getting work done is definitely here. And then I'm gonna go out in Oakland tonight, and I'm gonna try and spend the entire weekend in San Francisco because I haven't spent much time there since I've been here. It's like I've been everywhere except for San Francisco. Well, I went out last Sunday, but that's it. That's the only time I was in the city. So I've got my bike now, and I think my bike will allow me to just hang out in the city for extended periods of time. I might be parking in San Francisco too, actually. I don't see why I wouldn't. So I'd have my house there too.
My mobile home.
I'd have my mobile home. I love my mobile home.
You need to buy one.
If the fucker was painted black, it'd be the perfect car.
You should find out who makes it for them and attempt to buy it in black.
Well, I could buy. What if I bought one that was like busted up or something like that? Like just one little thing wrong with it, and I was like, nope, I'll take it off your hands and then get it painted black.
I will send it to Zorro and just see what he thinks the cheapest he could build that is for. Because he may be like, oh, you can buy like $2,000 and just do this to it for fucking another $2,000.
This shit is proprietary, dude. Like that whole kitchen in the back fits in there like a glove. It's crazy, and it's got gray water sinks, and it's pretty hooked up. And that bed upstairs is ridiculous too. Like I'd rather just take a used version of this van off of someone's hands. I'll tell you what, I'm pretty glad I got my driver's license renewed when I was in Chicago. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a good thing. Nothing's accidental, Jason. It's all interconnected.
Dude, well, it's all interconnected, but it's only interconnected if you hustle. Like the hustle is what is the glue to all these things.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Fact.
I mean, that's really what it is. Like this decision-making stuff that I'm talking about. Like that's just another word for hustle. It's like a shark. You just keep moving, move.
I never stop moving.
Right.
Like that's my greatest strength and my greatest weakness at the same time, Jason, is I will just keep moving.
Well, yeah, but your movement is different. Your movement is more like it's more like I don't know. What's something that scatters? You're like a school of fish.
Well, yeah, I have ADD, so like I don't have one focus. I have many focuses that are constantly being wrangled in and out of a stream of fluidity. So this afternoon at 4, I have the follow-up call with the guy that owns CGII.
What's that?
Which is the Consolidated Growers. So they're buying up all of the dispensaries and the grow farms in California and Colorado.
Okay.
And that'll be fun. That's going to be a nice... Maria has gone in to do the Phase 1 evaluation on the internals, and I'm going to go in probably in 2 weeks, fly out there and do a Phase 2 evaluation on how they're, where they're connecting with their customers, how they're connecting with their customers, what their plan is for consolidating the brand identity. Because as you're buying up a bunch of dispensaries, they each have a local brand identity that's now going to get shifted.
Right.
That's not an easy thing to do. So it should be a fun contract, and again, we're going in from a very different level. Instead of me going in and trying to get contracts from being Nick Cementa, the business gypsy, I have Maria going in being like, I'm certified in every corporate practice known to man, including things I thought were fake. I never really knew Six Sigma Green Belt was a thing outside of 30 Rock.
That's like the dumbest name for anything.
It's real, too. It's so great.
It's so stupid.
There's an actual belt. She showed me the actual belt.
Yeah, but you know, there's no respect for that type of shit. Like if
Oh
you
no,
were
no! If you wear it into a meeting, you get laughed at. I
no,
kind
not the belt, but even the training. It's like, yeah, there's all these things that you can be certified in, but at the end of the day, like business is not fucking complicated, dude. You make more money than you spend.
no, Jason. Business is exactly this complicated.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit on one board, it's not real.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you can have I don't know if you want to call these frameworks or whatever, but yeah, dude, seriously. Remember I told you about that book, Business Without the Bullshit?
Yeah, but Jason, we're referring to small, non-scaled service-based consulting businesses versus
Uh-huh.
massive conglomerated corporations like the Pampered Chef place I was at. They
Uh-huh.
they they do $4 billion a year in sales. They have 60,000 on-the-floor sales reps. They have hundreds of thousands of SKUs and products they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be bullshit unless you can completely replace it with robots.
Well,
Which
see, the problem is that bullshit is it doesn't help anybody though. If you, as a consultant, you can come in and you can either help the business or you can get paid. I don't know if you can do both simultaneously.
you can, but you have to basically spend the whole time taking their money and
Uh-huh.
telling the only way you can help yourself is if you eliminate these things that are costing you money and costing you headache.
My favorite idea is a lean consultant who gets paid like $200,000 a year to come in. Or we could fire everybody.
We can hire everybody.
No, we could fire everybody. Like that's the leanest thing I can think of is cutting costs. You know,
Everybody's
like
going to Pakistan.
well, not just go to Pakistan, but it's like how can we do this with the least amount of overhead? Like what is
Take
actually
the entire IT
necessary?
department and you say we're going to cut salaries by 30%, but you all get to work from home and have your quality of life go up by 80%.
That's a great idea, but I don't know how an IT person works from home. If an IT person can work from home, you probably don't need an IT person.
I mean, no, I don't mean their IT staff is normally,
Uh-huh.
and in this place in particular, it's people filling service tickets. This thing isn't working. This thing isn't working. This item needs to be updated. They can do all that shit from home on a laptop.
Or they can have technology that doesn't break. That's the other option.
I hate to break it to you, but there's no such thing as technology that doesn't break at that level. When you have millions of users going through something, they're going to break down, dude. Like,
Well,
you
then
and I don't deal with those kinds of problems.
Then you outsource all the technology to a different company. And I don't mean the shitty company. I mean a company that can actually handle that kind of bandwidth. Basically, I could go into any corporation, replace whatever proprietary bullshit they're using with for like a very select number of software packages, and they could fire like 100 people.
Normally, yeah.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
You remember
Okay.
when I got in trouble with that one job? It was because I had figured out that the job of a researcher was completely replaceable by RSS feeds. I was like, wait a second,
Yeah.
so you have people who just Google the same keywords every day?
I
And
could
they were
do
like,
that
yeah.
with I could do that with 50% of every job. Every job that exists, I could replace with a $20 a month software as a service. It's ridiculous, and that's not even like I don't know if that's a methodology. That's really just not being ridiculous in your hiring practices.
Yeah, but it's, most people don't even know that these services exist, Jay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll come in, I'll get my money. I'm like Highlander, dude. I come in, just start chopping people's heads off, and I'm gone, like before anyone knows it.
The job's a leader.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, check
It's
out
not.
this new piece of software. What does it do? Your job. Peace.
Sorry, dude. Like it's your bad that you didn't create software that does your job and sell it to the company that employs you. Like
My little
that's
brother did. That's why he's living in that big ass house in fucking Tampa now.
yeah, man. That's your job. Your job is to make your job obsolete. There's no other responsibility I can think of. Every person should be trying to sell out as quickly as possible. And that's what I'm doing with this hosting service. Like I am making my job obsolete, and I'm happy about it. Because it's like if you don't do it, someone else will do it, right?
I agree.
It's basically a race. It's like who can create the cheapest, or maybe not the cheapest, but who can create the best tool the quickest.
Jason, we've been involved in a business arms race, a marketing arms race now for like 30 years.
Right.
That's all it really is who
Yeah,
can
man.
run the list.
I think there's a lot of
Arbitrage.
people who are going to be left over, or they're going to be left behind.
Who can do the cleanest arbitrage?
Right.
Who can do the best fucking battlefield triage? Who can roll in and sever the useless limbs quickest?
Right. So okay, so let's wrap up this conversation. But what do you got going on in the next week here?
Well, like I said, I got finally done. Contracts are back from the attorney, so we have our ceremonial contract signing for the sale of the print shop.
Uh-huh.
Very excited. They've already started sending orders in before we even finish contracts, and
That's
they're nice.
unusual, but okay.
They're nice size orders, and it's a good taste for how these guys sell.
Uh-huh.
You know, they're definitely. We can triple revenue if we're doing 100 units a day, which
Okay.
it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. It's a fucking lot.
Yeah,
And
of course.
in a week they've sent in 3 orders of 100 pieces or at minimum. So they're on pace to triple revenue if this is the stuff that they can't wait. You know, that they're like, these orders are ready to pop now. I know we're not done with contracts, but these guys can't wait for their stuff.
Right.
And I can't wait to see what happens when they open that flood door.
Cool. What else?
I'm really excited about this the new contract with this growers union. Monday I have a meeting with the retired president of Merrill Lynch and a gentleman who is a friend of Kelsey's. You may have met Luke. He used to date Tanya.
Maybe a long time ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, he invented something very unique in the medical marijuana space. It's a non-alcohol-based emulsifier for the vaporizers.
Yeah.
So currently all the THC vaporizers use alcohol, which is really bad for you if you have any type of stomach disorder that you would be using vapor for. So it's kind of like oxymoronic to even use it. And he's created some type of vegetable extraction emulsifier that has no alcohol in it, and it also preserves the flavor of the individual strand of marijuana. So on a recreational sense, you could literally have like flavored strains in e-cigs with his technology.
Okay. Nice.
So its potential is huge, and that's why I was like, hey, this is way outside of my pay grade. I'm going to grab somebody that knows a bit more, instead of eating in a lunch for us all to kind of discuss how we could do this together and me not get chopped out.
Yeah. Brad.
So that'll be fun.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm going to try to dedicate as much of this week to medical marijuana stuff as possible. It's kind of a celebration of the end of Ramadan, as now I've been holding back on the dildo stuff and the weed stuff and a bunch of other stuff because my tech staff won't work on that stuff during Ramadan.
Okay.
And now that Ramadan will be ending on the 28th, they will finally be able to finish several of these projects that have been backlogged, so that'll be good too. And then, just prepping for Kelsey leaving for shark fishing and another week of kid stuff.
Cool.
How about you?
Like I said, I'll be in San Francisco this weekend. I got to return the van Monday morning. I fly to Seattle Monday afternoon. I'm going to spend some time with a lady friend in Seattle that he met. And I'm not sure when I'll go to Portland. But honestly, it's like after I get through this week, well, I got to do a report. I got to do a follow-up report for my retainer client. Like probably a follow-up call. But after I get through those two things, I guess I'm on vacation, which is good.
Hey, look at you, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that, but it's really been it's been a lot of ass kicking. Like basically, my entire time in Chicago was a ton of ass kicking. It was a ton of drinking and a ton of ass kicking, and I've been kicking ass since I got to the Bay Area, and I think I need a break from ass kicking.
It's like a gentle nap next to a babbling brook.
Yeah, oh, that's a good idea. I could definitely do some outdoor stuff, but I think I would like to just kind of like turn it off for at least a week or so.
I dig that.
Yep. And also recharge, because if I end up working, if this partnership that I mentioned goes through, and I really believe that it is going to go through. Well, that's going to be some pretty major sprints. Because there'll be rebranding, there will be product road mapping, there will be collaboration on the stuff that they already do. You know, like there's a whole world of things that are going to be really interesting and really fun, but are going to require a concerted amount of energy and focus that I want to be completely ready for.
I hear that, dude. You're usually a very focused person, too. I'm not. This is the opposite of you and I. I like to spin plates. I really do.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't rest either.
I don't want to focus on it.
You don't rest, man. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you need, like, I don't know. You need to peace out occasionally.
Well, Maria and I have been talking about this, and she thinks that when we do off-site contracts, specifically now that we're starting to book them, we should book the travel for an extra 2 or 3 days, and that would force me to just take some time of not being home, not being where people reach me, and like after the contract, like shower theory, like a 3-day vacation after spending 5 days on site might be good. A, for me to just relax, and B, for me to problem solve the contract.
Well, not okay. So if you want my advice, I try and do that. I try and pad before and after. Like I would take half the time and put it before and half the time to put it after, just to. The worst thing in the world for me would be to get off an airplane and go directly to work. That would be fucking horrible.
See, I don't mind that. And that's always when I used to consult, and I used to travel for consulting when I was doing sales consulting, I preferred that because the first day I would get there, it was usually like, and I would do the, I guess you could call it Sherlock Holmesing, is you would go in and you'd look for stuff that you could point out to them that would make them be like, oh, he's very smart and he's observant. And you want to get there quick and early and just kind of make a couple of really nice suggestions. And kind of start to build. And the other thing is that when I'm consulting, I got a lot of people I got to meet. So I like to, the first night I'm there, when I'm in town, kind of have them take me, be like, yo, take me out, show me around.
Yeah.
You know, let me get to know you guys as guys before we go in and learn the business.
Yeah, that's not really my style, but you got your thing. You go for it.
Yeah, but I'm also like hyper, what did you say, hyper familiar, and you don't even like people like that, let alone want to act like that?
Well, I think, you know, for whatever reason, my personality tests all tell me that I'm extroverted, but good lord, I'm feeling very introverted these days.
You're an introverted extrovert?
Well, I think that, you know, I obtain my power through extroversion, but I have to recharge my batteries.
I think that you get your power from introversion, and then you expel your power in extroversion.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, people were like, you know, all the compliments that you usually get, you know, about presentation and like, I don't know, personality, etc. Like that's all the shit that I was getting last night, and I was like, oh, Nick would laugh at this shit. Like he would think that this is pretty ironic.
I think you're built for it, dude. I wouldn't be doing this podcast with you every week if I thought you were a bad presenter.
Yeah, well, apparently, maybe rubbed off on me, or I've just grown, or a combination of the two. But
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that you look at me and you're like, I'm smarter than him, and he's good at this. I should be much better at this.
That's not how I think at all. I never think that kind of shit. Trust me, I worry about my own flaws. That's how I get better at things.
I guess that's my reasoning always. I look at someone else and I'm like, well, look at that guy. I mean, look at him. He can do this.
No way, man. I know that there's nothing that's simple. Everything is much more complex than it looks.
Oh, absolutely. And the
to
best
get good
things
at something,
are often the hardest things, Jason. Fact.
Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna bounce. I like talking. I actually have to get onto another video call. That's the only reason I have to jump off here.
I think we're done for this week, and I'll talk to you Friday. Yeah. Bye, Internet.
Cool. Bye, Internet.